I'm sorry about the sunglasses, but it's a little bright for me to take them off. So I apologize. I really would rather have them off. So I asked him to not introduce me, but allow myself to introduce myself to you so that I can share my story. I have 10 really quick moments to be impactful and deliver a message to you that I hope that you'll never forget. So I'm born and raised here. I've been married for 38 years. I owned a construction company for 28 years. I have 4 kids, 2 boys that are in the military, a daughter who's a nurse, and my youngest son, Andy, completed suicide when he was 16 years old. And so that's my story. I wish it weren't my story. I know why I'm here. I'm curious. Obviously, we don't have the time to get the answers, but why are you here? What's your reason for being here today? Is it personal? So let me give you a couple indications of when we talk about who that person, who that potential candidate is for suicide. Let me give you my best example, which is Andy, my son. So we're going to check off the boxes here. Like I said, he comes from a marriage, a family of people that have been married forever. You know, we owned a construction company. We were self-employed so that we could focus our lives around our kids. I was a PTA mom. I came to lunch at school with the kids. I attended every choir concert, every athletic event. I was in their face 24/7. Nothing more important to me than my kids. Nothing more important to me for my husband and myself. My husband was committee chairman to Boy Scouts. He was an educator for 10 years. This was our focal point, our kids. Andy was our youngest child. So as that, you know, we kind of think as our kids go along, we think, oh, we got this under control. We've been through this, done this. We know what to expect. Andy was an easy kid. So let me give you a description of Andy really quick. He came 11 years after the first 3 kids, so he had a lot of parental, a lot of older influencing his life, and usually in a really positive effect, because everybody loved Andy. He was one step away from being an Eagle Scout, youth leader at church. I drugged my kids to church Sundays and Wednesdays. We had an extremely strong foundation of faith. And not only that, but Andy loved it. So he attended winter camp, summer camp. He went to Wednesday services with a whole group of boys. He was immersed in that process. Good student, A's and B's, lots of friends. He was being scouted by the Dodgers, the Royals, Annapolis, West Point, USC, Kansas State, you name it. Everybody wanted Andy. He was a left-handed pitcher, but they didn't want him just because of his physical prowess. He was dynamic. But they wanted him because of his character. His nickname was Sunshine. That's because that's what he brought to the table every day. He loved life. He had that joie de vivre every day. He did backflips on the wakeboard. He loved snowboarding. He loved life. Is that a candidate for suicide? Is that someone we expect? It never entered our minds, never crossed our minds. So what happened? I hope that leaves you understanding, because I'm certainly probably like most of you. How many of you have lost a child, a personal child, not a student, but a child to suicide? Yep, I was just like you. That happens to someone else. That can't possibly happen to me. I'm a good parent. I'm an involved parent. I had coffee with my kid every morning before he went to school. We talked. He wasn't on his phone. He wasn't playing video games. He wasn't involved in social media. So if there's nothing else you take away from it today, it's that it doesn't happen to someone else. It's happening to all of us, because what happened to me affects every one of you in one way or another. And so Andy, it started with a drug, not the kind that we hear about on the news, not an opioid, not an illegal substance, but he started taking Accutane about 4 months before he passed. And on that, when I went to the dermatologist to meet with him, the dermatologist had me sign a waiver that said suicide, psychosis, and depression are potential side effects. That was amongst a lot of other things on the waiver, but I do remember reading it, and I discounted it immediately because, like I said, I'm a good mom. I would know if something was going on with my child. And that pertains to someone else's kid who may be already predisposed to depression or sadness or mental illness. Not my happy kid, not sunshine. And so then the normal experiences that happen to the teenagers. What happens in high school? They have relationship issues. They struggle to learn and grow and develop. And so Andy had a relationship issue, a breakup. And so the drug, that Accutane, affects the frontal lobe, which is where their clear thinking is. So it's already hard enough to be a teenager, and then you add something that impacts your ability to process breakups and problems at home and grades and all those other things, and it's extremely challenging. So for Andy, he had a breakup issue, and it was heartbreaking for him. Heartbreaking. He had a teacher that didn't like him. So for any of you out there who are teachers, and if you have a kid in your class that you're not connecting with, do that kid a favor and find them another teacher. Because his teacher was bullying Andy. And his counselor didn't take into consideration when I was asking for help, he didn't take into consideration all of the ramifications of this factor. You see, for Andy, not passing in her class was going to affect his eligibility for baseball. And literally, the coach from Annapolis was calling every week. He wasn't calling to see how Andy was doing. He wanted to know what his GPA was. That's it. So much pressure on these kids. And so for Andy, he couldn't see a way out because the drug was impacting him. He had already had a heartbreak, and now he's got a teacher that's going to fail him, a counselor who's not listening to a mom, a dean of students who calls me overreactive. Really? This is my kid. I would ask you, what if education, this is the importance of all of this. What if, let's start with me. What if myself, what if as a parent, I'd ever attended an event like this or at school? What if I had known any of the signs, the warning signs of suicide? Maybe. I'd like to find that out. What if Andy's teacher would have been more understanding that they were not connecting because he got good grades everywhere else? What if the counselor had listened more carefully and taken into consideration what failing a class would do to him? What if two of Andy's friends listened to him tell how he was going to hurt himself a week before he did? I won't tell you how he did it because I know that's not helpful. But you see, they didn't understand because he made them promise, don't tell my mom, I promise I won't do that. And they didn't know because why? We don't talk about it. It terrifies us. It's the worst thing possible. And we think if we talk about it to our kids, they're going to do it. And so they didn't tell anyone. What if they had? What if the security guard, when Andy walked off of a closed campus after second hour, had stopped him? What if the administrator that let him walk off the campus had stopped him? What if the kid that was in the parking lot and connected with Andy just for a moment and said, Leanne, I saw Andy drive off the campus and I thought something looked off. But he said, it was Andy, it was sunshine, so I dismissed it. What if he had known? What if? What if? I would have liked to have found out. And I'm here so that you understand the importance of speaking about this, of being an advocate for everybody else's child. When you're in school as an educator, an administrator, if you are a police officer, whoever you are the eyes and ears of our children. And the more you know, the safer and better they're going to be. We can make a difference in those terrible, staggering statistics. But it means that you have to personalize it and answer that first question that I asked when I came out here. Why are you here? Who are you here for? Make sure that every child you come in contact with and every person knows that they matter to you. Personalize it. I have wristbands that we'll give out and you can get. They're You Matter wristbands, and they're for you, but they're also for you to tell someone else that they matter to you in their life. You may save a life just by doing that. And if you're an educator and you want wristbands at your school, sign up at our table, and I'm happy to give them. They're free. I'm happy to give you our You Matter wristbands. I commend you all for being here, and I challenge you all to bring 5 more people with you next year. Thank you all so much. You matter to me. Make it a great day.